Bear fans, I can't even talk. It's cold, and we just hit the game winner at Lambeau. They got us at home. Been thinking about this game for weeks, and we got them in their place, 51-yarder. All glory to God. That's for you, Bears fans.
Another year, another failed season. This is where we're at right now, man. We're celebrating game-winning field goals to end the season with 5 wins. I'd say for any Chicago Bears fan, I think it's time we all look in the mirror. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Social Club where everyone has a voice. I am your host, Jacob Hale, and in this video, we're talking about the Chicago Bears. As always, go ahead and subscribe, comment down below. Let us know your thoughts about the Chicago Bears. I'm definitely about to give you mine, but let us know what you think we could have done better. What are some things we can do towards the future? That's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about that as well. Well, I'll start this off by saying that the Chicago Bears has cost me $100 way early on when Caleb Williams got drafted. I actually made a bet with our co-host Cam Saunders, and I told him, I was like, it doesn't matter what's going to happen, the Bears are going to win 6 games this year, right? He obviously disagreed. We went back and forth, and then finally I was like, hey, let's bet $100 on it, right? So ended up betting. Looking at it now, I would definitely make that bet again, knowing what I knew during that time, but I would say I am very disappointed in our franchise. Before I move on with my assessment, let me just go over some of the good because there are some good things that came out of this. One, a lot of what I thought about this team from a talent standpoint, I still fully believe. I think this team is very talented and is in a way better place than where we were the year prior in terms of all the additions that we have made. I don't think we've done a good job of putting it all together. However, I think having some pieces on the board is better than having no pieces on the board. I think we've done a lot to address some issues on the team, and then a lot of different position groups. And then speaking of position groups, we can talk about Caleb Williams. I think it's really hard, especially when you're in the first overall pick, to really perform. And I think it's even harder this year when you have the second QB off the board and another top QB off the board that is actually playing in the playoffs. So they've had early success. So obviously that brings a lot more pressure on the Caleb Williams. However, considering everything that's happened this year for the team, I'm not disappointed in Caleb Williams' performance at all. I think a lot of what he's done has really shown us that he was a good draft choice and that he at least individually has the talent to lift us over the hump in terms of an offensive standpoint, actually having a legitimate offense in the league. I mean, again, we're talking about a guy that's a rookie QB, didn't have the best offensive line, and was struggling, losing their head coach and their OC midway through the year, but the guy still ended up with 3,500 passing yards. He ended up with 20 passing touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, which for a rookie standpoint, that's very good. And then also had about 450, 500 rushing yards to top off with that, right? So there's a lot to be excited about with Caleb. Obviously, I don't think Caleb's a bust. I think he had some unfortunate circumstance along with just not even the team, but just the organization dynamics and everything that transpired with that. So I am still on the Caleb train, just to make that clear. But there's definitely some things that need to be fixed. Another good side that I'd like to point out is even though our defense kind of went away towards the back half of the season, the first half of the season, I felt really, really great about our defense. And I don't think much has changed about that. From my own football experience, I understand is that when things aren't going your way, especially from a defensive standpoint, it's very hard to keep that same energy and drive week in and week out, especially when your offense isn't really up to par and is stalling on a lot of drives, right? Eventually, you're just going to cave in. And I think that's what happened with the Bears defense. The first 6, 7 games of the year is a defense that I think we're fully capable of to sustain for a full year. We just need an offense that complements the skill set of what our defense brings. With that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about the bad things that I saw. First of all, that's got to be one of the worst offensive lines in the league, to be honest with you. There's definitely a lot of injuries involved with that, but whenever everyone was healthy, they still weren't good. So it didn't matter who was on that team. It's hard enough to be a rookie QB in the NFL. It's even harder when you don't have an offensive line there to support you. And even from a running back standpoint, if you have a bad offensive line, it's going to be very hard for you to produce, at least take some pressure off of your rookie QB to not have to drop back and pass the ball every game. And talking about dropping back and passing the ball every game, let's talk about the coaches that we fired. Matt Eberflus was an absolute failure by the organization. The fact that we even kept him through drafting Caleb and giving him that one last year to try to prove himself was a complete failure of the organization. It's probably the third or fourth time in the past decade I've had to deal with this where uh, head coach is on his last leg, and then we bring in a rookie QB. So then their first year, they're dealing with a head coach that's on his way out. And then the next year, we have to bring a whole new head coach in there to learn a whole new system and everything of that. It's very detrimental to the rookie. And then, of course, from the fan side, it's like, we knew this guy shouldn't be the head coach the year before. We didn't need an extra year to try to prove that, right? And in saying that, let's talk about our OC. Our OC hiring of Shea Waldron was probably one of the worst hirings I've seen in a very long time. Even when he was hired, people were not hyped about it. Even the people that played for him in Seattle were saying the same thing. They're like, "Yeah, best of luck. I don't think this is the guy for you." But typical Bears, any great choice or pick that comes to mind that we want to pick, the Bears organization never considers those people. They always find the most random hidden gem, not even a hidden gem, but just the most random coach you can think of and just promote them to a head coaching job just for whatever reason. And then speaking of that, I want to address a rumor that I did hear about. Um, I think Ben Johnson should be the favorite for a lot of reasons. More importantly, we should evolve our stuff around Caleb Williams and his talent. And in order to do that effectively, you need an offensive minded head coach. However, if the reason why we don't get Ben Johnson is because of office politics with Ryan Poles, I'm going to take a break from being a fan. I'm going to tell you right now, on camera, live, I'm telling you right now, if that's actually the reason why, and that's what it ends up being, and it's not just because Ben Johnson just had a better job or decided to stay or anything like that, then yeah, I'm going to take the year off from being a fan because I don't want to be a part of that. There's too much office politics in this world, especially when you're talking about a National Football League franchise. The last thing I want is for us to miss opportunities solely because you don't think you're going to get along with the guy, or you think your job is on the line. It's like, if you do a good job, your job isn't on the line. Do a bad job, then yes, you got to go. That's the nature of the league. That's how it works. There's other choices that I like. I don't want to lean towards a defensive guy just because we always had a defensive guy. I'd rather just get a great DC, and we've had great DCs in the past that ended up leaving, but you can just have a great defensive coordinator and just call it a day. We don't need a defensive minded head coach anymore, even though that's always been the Bears' trend. I would like us to explore the offensive route again, and probably this time at workout, if we don't try to go with Mark Trestman, whose last game was in Canada, and then we decided to give him a National Football League job. So as long as we don't go that route, I think we'll be fine trying to do that. When I look ahead for the draft here, I think the most important thing is obviously the offensive line. If there's not two or three offensive line additions, whether through free agency or straight through the draft in the first 3 rounds, then I'm going to consider it a failure in the offseason because I think that's one of the most glaring problems that we have for sure. There's plenty of talent on the offensive line coming this year from what I've seen, plenty of people that we can go after. I think my personal favorite will be Will Campbell. However, I don't know how far he'll make it into the draft for what our pick is. So if he makes it there, let's get him. If not, there's plenty of other great guys like Banks Jr. or on Texas is also a great choice, but there's plenty of other ones. And And we got a whole combine to really look at these players and see who we like and who we should go after. Going into the next couple years, I think this is going to be a big realization for Bears fans because part of our problem is we've always, every single year, we've always thought, oh, we just needed this piece or we just needed that piece, just needed this guy, then we're going to be perfectly fine. Oh, we just need a QB, we're going to be perfectly fine. And now we're starting to see that it's an organization problem here. And I don't know how you fix that, to be honest with you. I got no answer for it. So I will say in the next 2 to 3 years, if we keep making these blunders over organization issues and office politics and everything of that sorts, then I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm hitting the transfer portal. I'm out. I am out. I'm getting out of here. I am not going to stay for that. I don't even live in Chicago anymore. So, and you know what's worse with it, just as a sidebar, is that it's one thing if the Chicago Bears are bad, but there's not a single team in Chicago that's good. Like, there's no one that's going to the playoffs or winning any significant games or just having a good season overall. Like every single Chicago sport their season ends like 2 to 3 months before the actual season ends for that sport. So, as a fan standpoint of any team in that city, it's very frustrating to watch them. So, I will say that as from a lifelong Chicago Bears fan, I am starting to be interested in hitting the transfer portal. It's starting to happen. I'm going to see what happens in the next 2 to 3 years, but if we're still bottom tier, 4 or 5 games in the season, I'm sorry, guys. I give them 15, yeah, 15 years of my life. That's enough. I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going to flirt around with some other teams, see who I like, but I'm just going to take a break because I'm just not built for this anymore. This is just not for me. Hopefully, I'm not the only one who thinks like that, but if I am, you can go ahead and kill me in the comments. I don't care. I'm not a fair weather fan. I put in my time. Enough is enough. All right. This isn't even fun anymore. It's not even fun to watch. Why would I watch this? They had like a 6 or 7 game losing streak. It's not even fun to watch them anymore. So that's my stance. You guys let me know down in the comments what you guys think. And also talk more about analysis and what you think we should do going forward, particular players that we need to draft and everything of that sorts. I'm all ears for it. I love talking ball like that. You might as well do it while you can because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be a fan if this keeps up. But for now, go ahead and let us know down in the comments what you think. Again, subscribe to the channel, check out all of our other stuff, Instagram, Discord, TikTok, everything, right? But other than that, I appreciate you guys viewing, and I will see you in the next one.